Nawi, welcome. My name is Audricka Young. I come from the Natchitoches tribe of Louisiana. My native name is Sayata Wisi. I am Woman Across the Water, and today I'm going to tell a few Native stories. A little bit about myself before I start is that my story is much different than a lot of the stories that you may hear today. I am not a residential school survivor, but my grandfather was. So my family was already assimilated by the time I came around. I was in my late teens before I really got to know my tribal family. But immediately was welcomed in and granted permission to sit and listen to the stories from the storytellers. Later on in my adulthood is when I was granted the gift of telling stories. And one of the first story that I'd like to share is Naga. And Naga loved to climb. He was a great mountain sheep, and there wasn't a mountain or a peak that he couldn't reach the top of until one day when he found a mountain that he couldn't climb. So he circled and he circled and he circled until he found the tiniest little opening, and he wedged his way in and found a path to the top. So he very eagerly hurried to get to the top, not realizing behind him that the path had crumbled and there was no way for him to return to the bottom. His father was very sad, knowing that his son would not return. So he went to Creator and asked Creator to please give him part of his son back. And Creator felt the sorrow from the father and turned the sun into a great star that would never move and that his people could always use for navigation. My people still use that star to this day for travels, and it's called the Northern Star. The second story that I'd like to share is the Chippewa story of the fox and the stars. So have you ever wondered how the stars got scattered in the sky? Well, we believe that long, long ago, the ruler of Starland was in charge of taking each star out of his bag and placing it in the sky just right so that the trails and the paths together would lead the people. And he was in charge of this job every day. But one evening he was very, very tired and he wanted to take a nap. So he laid down to rest. And his very curious, very conniving pet fox took the bag and ran with it. And when he ran, all the stars scattered, putting them in the wrong places. So now the ruler of Skyland has to walk and turn each one on every night with his hands. Sometimes when the air is cold, he can't reach each one of them. And that is why in the wintertime, we don't have as many stars. The next story that I like to tell is the legend of the cedar tree, and it's part of the creation story for my people. So long, long ago, when the earth was still very new, my people were thriving and we were doing really well, so well that we went to Creator and told him that we wanted an only daytime, that we could be more productive if we all had only daylight. And Creator knew that there needed to be a balance in the night and the day, but he loved the people, so he granted their wish. Immediately, the crops began to die and the paths became overgrown, so the hunters couldn't get to their hunting spots. And the people grew angry inside because they weren't sleeping. So they went back to Creator and admitted that they had made a mistake and to please turn it to only night. And Creator knew that there needed to be a balance in the day and the night, but he loved the people, so he granted their wish. Immediately, the weather turned cold, the crops died, the animals went into hibernation, and the people grew sick and started to die. So they went back one last time to Creator and asked him to put it back the way he had it. And Creator granted their wish, knowing that the balance of night and day was very important. And immediately the day and the night separated and the weathers parted and the sun came out and started to shine. And our people were able to recover and reflourish again. But Creator's heart was sad for those who had died in the darkness. So he took their souls and he placed it inside of a new tree. And he gave it to my ancestors. And this tree is the cedar tree. We are very fortunate to live in an area where there are plentiful here, but we have very specific rules on how to harvest them. Our women harvest the bark. Our men are the only ones that can touch the meat inside, and we never cut the whole tree at one time. If doing so, we would not be honoring our ancestors. The last story that I like to tell is our creation story. So long ago, we lived underground, and the Great Split came, and we were able to emerge through the Great Split, and we were met upon the earth with the Earth Keeper, and he explained to us the importance of the earth and how it would be our job now to take care of it. So he taught us how to plant and farm and to live one with nature and the animals and to give back. But he told us that we must find our own place and to watch the sky for the signs. So we had elders who walked clockwise. We had elders who walked counterclockwise. Some members forward, some members backwards, all to the farthest corners that they could reach, until we all came underneath the bright star in the sky, and we knew that we had found our place. The earth was red as our skin, and we believe still to this day that we are the people of the red earth and the red dirt, and the ones that were here first. My people were blessed that their special place is still occupied by us to this day, which is not a very common story that you get to hear about Indigenous tribes. We still occupy our homelands. When we were invaded by the French soldiers, they were able to bring disease with them that we were not familiar with, and it killed a large number of my people. But 17 families survived the great disease, and we still own our homelands in Louisiana, the part of the swamps that nobody wanted. So thank you so much for listening to my stories today. Nawi.